Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining the webinar for the release 2022.4, last release of this year. So last release webinar this year. We are just waiting for just a few more seconds until everybody joined on their virtual seats. So everybody gets all the information from the very beginning. So just a few more seconds, and then we will start right with the webinar. All right. Seats are slowly filling up, so just a couple more seconds, and then we will start with the content. All right. All right, numbers are stabilizing, so let's get started. Good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome to everybody who joined us today for the release webinar, the last release of this year of the JobRouter platform. And we are happy that everybody joined today. All right. Today, my colleague Romy and I will give you some insights of the release of 2022.4. We also prepared a small live demonstration you will get later on. And for this webinar, you are by default, you are automatically muted when you join. Please don't hesitate to ask us questions using the Q&A section of Zoom or using the Zoom chat feature, so we can answer them properly during this webinar or at the very end where we have our Q&A session. After the webinar, you will receive an email during the day with the links to the webinar recording, so you can rewatch it sometime later again or forward it to your colleagues, and you will receive the slides we prepared as a PDF file. And please don't hesitate to give us any feedback on the webinar itself, so we can improve your experience in the near future. So thank you very much. And then I will give you a small overview of the agenda of today. We will start with a small introduction of new features for 2022.4 and some messages announcements coming with that. We will focus a little bit on PHP 8.1. Romy will then take over and will show you what's new in the mobile app, and we'll show you the new web setup. You can be pretty excited about that. And at the very last, we will have a short Q&A session as long as we have time left. So if anything is bothering you about the new release, don't hesitate to drop us a message in the chat or later on at the end. All right, so I will start with the first topic of today. We will have a look into the release of 2022.4 and when does it come, or when will it be released? It will be today. During the afternoon, the colleagues are currently on it to build everything for the release, so we can simply press the button later on, and then you will be able to download it via the support or partner portal. All right. So what's new? We did a few improvements for our existing module, Job Start. We extended the functionality of the mailbox configurations. So you can enter now another name for a mailbox the user has access to, which is called shared mailboxes. So you can not only use shared mailboxes, of course, but also other mailboxes the user has access to. On top of that, you will be able to fetch emails from multiple Microsoft Azure organizations. This means if you, for example, have multiple Azure organizations instances you need to fetch emails from, with the new features in this release, you will be able to do so. And how does it look like? The changes are quite small. I highlighted them in here, so you can see what are the new fields in the configuration. The other ones are already existing before that. and you can use, it's called different mailbox. I guess we will change the label in the near future because it's a little bumpy, but there you can have an alternative mailbox name entered, as well as an alternative application ID. So in here, those are new fields. The application ID looks quite similar to the tenant ID. You have an example of this at the bottom. This is an information or an ID you will get from the Azure configuration panel itself. So your administrator should be able to fetch this information from the Azure portal, so you can enter the information in here. All right, let's move on. That was about Job Start. And I want to announce that we completed the so-called Gibbif certification. This is an abbreviation. In German, it's called Geschäftsbücherverordnung. This doesn't have anything, this does not have any meaning to you, I guess. So you could roughly translate it into a business, panel is blocking the business records regulation. This is a rough translation of it. Basically, it's an extension, or there are some features implemented for Job Archive, which increases the transparency and the traceability of some configuration changes you probably made, and everything is locked right now. We have more integrity checks implemented, like have a reverse check if there are some files at the file storage which should not be there, for example. So this is implemented, and it comes with the Gibbif certification itself. And every of the customers who are using Job Archive already will take advantage of these new features without doing anything about it. The features come simply with the update on already 2022.3. If you want to know more details about this, I'll invite you to go to our website and rewatch the recording of the release webinar of 2022.3. There's a little bit more detail about what Gibbif actually is and what are the features in detail coming with this certification. All right, so this is a message I want to drop for today. It pretty much matches with our release date, so it was quite convenient to put it into the slides. All right, next thing I want to highlight is our migration to PHP 8.1. So JobRouter 2022.4 comes with the support for PHP 8.1, and it's not new that we are like updating the background technology. I just want to highlight you the update to PHP 8.1 because it comes with some necessary changes you might need to do on your own. But I will explain this in a few seconds. So anyhow, the update to PHP 8.1 comes with a big advantage in terms of performance. PHP 8.0 already comes with a just-in-time compiler. If you want to know in detail more about this in technical wise, I'm encouraging you to use the Google search engine and type in JIT compiler, and then you will get a few more technical details about this compiler itself. The result of using this or implementing those compilers in PHP 8.1 results in a slightly performance boost also for JobRouter. At least that's what we get from the feedback internally, where we did already our update to 2022.4, and the employees which are using the internal JobRouter on the new PHP version are quite happy about the new and better performance. I put in the slide from a website from openbenchmarking.org, which highlights kind of in absolute numbers. I can't tell you about details about numbers itself, but that doesn't matter at all because I want to highlight the comparison between the 7.4 performance to the 8.1 performance. So we get a slight improvement in here, and JobRouter is also taking advantage of this. Right. Second point I want to point out is that I called it long-term code quality improvements. This means we have a better data type strictness, so to speak. I'm just giving you 2 examples. So if you're doing if conditions or implementing if conditions, if you're using only the insecure comparison with 2 equal signs, then there is no implicit data type conversion anymore, which results in different behavior in comparison from 7.4 to PHP 8.1. The second one is, for example, we use the function a lot, a PHP function, a native function is date_format, which takes as a first parameter a string and a datetime object in 7.4. And we likely used a string before that, but for 8.1, you need to put in a datetime object in the first parameter. So this is some breaking changes in here for PHP 8.1. All of the breaking changes are mentioned in the migration notes from php.net. We put in the links for those migrations in our release notes. So take a look in our release notes. You will find all of the links for php.net, so you can do your own changes for your own code, like the PHP scripts within processes, system activities, and dashboard widgets, which we can take care of from the platform itself. So that's something you might need to test before going live with this version. All right. Another one I want to show you regarding PHP 8.1. The screenshot is from Tuesday this week. There you can see the support timeframes of the specific PHP versions. With 7.4, you can see this is running out end of November, where we are currently running on with the LTS version and the 2022.3. So 2022, as I've said, or as we mentioned, comes with 8.1, which is on a very long support range. At least like the STS will be over for support in February next year, but the LTS starts right away with PHP 8.1, of course. And then the whole support time frame is covered by PHP updates, at least the security updates in the end. And the next version, which is coming up from PHP, it might be, I guess it's 8.2, it's already in beta phase. And we'll see if it's 8.3 next version after that, or a 9.x or even 10. We'll see about this. But as you can see, we try to cover the whole supported range of JobRouter releases with our technologies which are beneath that. So you can expect that future JobRouter releases will be completely supported with PHP, with current PHP versions. All right, let me switch off the laser pointer for now. That's from my side. If you have any questions regarding this, don't hesitate to drop a message and a question in the chat so we can go into this later on. All right, then thank you very much for your attention. My part is over for now, so I will hand over to Romy. So have fun.
Yep. Thank you, Stefan. So you can stop screen sharing. Perfect. Now, while I do my session, maybe you could take a look at the chat. We got a message that the chat feature actually isn't available. I know we did something last time to fix it. And meanwhile, if you have questions, you can write them into the Q&A section, and Stefan will see if you can get the chat enabled. So, but meanwhile, let me share my screen. Okay, so I would like to show you some stuff that we've done for the mobile app. And I will show it live in a minute, but before we do that, just let me explain what we have done. So for the mobile app, amongst other things, we are currently working on adding support for additional JavaScript API functions. So we have a couple of API functions that we currently support for desktop forms, but not for mobile forms. Most of them are regarding subtables. And 2 of them we have now added to the mobile app. Those 2 are JR-add subtable row and JR-remove subtable row. They do exactly what the name says. You can use them to dynamically via script add some rows into a subtable or remove some rows from a subtable. These 2 functions will be available with the next app version that's released, version 3.3. It's not going to be released today together with the official JobRouter release because we are still in beta testing, but we are confident that we are going to release it in November. So from that time on, since app version 3.3 will be released, you will be able to use these 2 functions. There are some constraints, some limitations that I will talk about in a minute, but these 2 functions will be available. On the upside, these functions will be available also for older JobRouter versions because they don't require any API access. They are only implemented within the mobile app, so they are even compatible down to JobRouter 5.2. So all supported JobRouter versions, they will be able to use these 2 new JavaScript API functions. You don't need necessarily to update to 2022.4. So as a use case, I decided not to show you how to write scripts using these 2 functions because I think that's a bit boring. Also, you probably know how these functions work, and if not, there's a documentation. I decided instead to show you a use case of what's now going to be possible because of these 2 API functions. So the use case, I will show it live in a minute. For the use case, I decided to use like a complaint process. So imagine that you are working in a storage facility or in a mail distribution center, something like this, and you get packages full of articles and you open it up and some of those articles are broken or the wrong articles were sent to you or whatever. Something is not right with them, you want to send them back, then you have to claim them. And this could be done with the mobile app. So hopefully, of course, these packages, maybe they have a barcode. You can scan that barcode. You will get a list of articles that should be in this package based on the barcode. You can get them from the database, pre-fill a subtable with them, and then you can go into the subtable and manage each individual item. Just mark it as defective, send it back, something like this. So that's a use case that isn't possible right now without those 2 API functions because there's no way to pre-fill a subtable with this data. But now it's possible. So I would like to show you how this works in real life. For this, I will stop screen sharing here. I will try to connect my phone, share content, screen, start. Okay, it's starting. That's a good first step. So sharing your screen. And I will apologize in advance. I don't know how to remove this this video of myself from the phone. So you will just have to look at me twice for the next couple of minutes. So this is the mobile app, which of course, you've seen it. I have a claim process here. No, I don't. Complaint, I think it's called. Yeah, create complaint. I have a barcode, a button to scan the barcode or enter the barcode manually, but in that case, I would like to scan the barcode, this one. So, and as you can see, I have now a form with some data with the barcode that was scanned, the description that I got from the database based on the barcode, and the items that you see in that subtable, they are also extracted from the database based on the barcode. And I use JR-add subtable row to add these items to this subtable. So the person, in that case me, doesn't have to enter it manually. I can just automatically add this data, and I can go into these lines. I say, okay, this one I want to send back because it's found it cheaper somewhere else. Next to I will keep last one, I will also send back because I don't know, did not like it. Save this, go back. Now when I try to send, it won't let me because as you just saw, there are some required fields that I have to fill out, like the complaint reason, for example. And of course, for those 2 lines in the middle, I didn't fill it out because I actually want to keep them. So I can't really enter a complaint reason. So in that case, I can just use remove subtable row to remove all items that don't have complaints, that I don't want to send back. So as you can see in the table, the first one is sent back, and the last one, which we can't see because it's not part of the preview, these 2 I want to send back. The other 2 I will keep. So I will remove them by script. And that just leaves me with the 2 remaining items. And as you can also see, that's why I picked the last one to send back. The last one was out of scope from the preview because the preview only shows you the first 3 lines. And now that I removed 2, it goes into focus, and I can now also see it in the preview. And now I can send everything, and yeah, step has been processed. So that's the use case, or one use case that you can now do using JR add and JR remove subtable row. So quite a lot of things that you can now do with having these 2 functions. So the reclaims process is one thing. I can also imagine like a travel request workflow. If you already have created a travel request with like the flight and the hotel and like the food that you want to eat and stuff like that, you probably already have it approved. And then when you're traveling, you can just say, okay, I now want to upload the documents for this request. You can just open a new travel expense workflow, select your travel, and then you can pre-fill the subtable with all these items and just attach documents. Quite easy for the user to do. They don't have to manually create these line items. They can just do it, or it can just be done automatically by script. So lots of use cases that you can solve now by having these functions. So I will stop screen sharing again. Stop sharing. Okay, because I will switch back to the other screen. So I mentioned limitations when I started at the beginning. So the limitation for now is, let me go back to sharing my screen. It was this one. The limitation currently, not forever, but for now, is that if you know JR add and JR remove subtable row, they have a couple of more functions than just adding and removing subtable rows. For example, in JR add subtable row, you can already supply like a set of data that should be used to pre-fill the subtable. That's currently not possible in the first step. So in the first step, these 2 functions really only do the basic function. They are adding and removing subtable rows. If you want to add data, it's still possible, but you have to fall back to the functions we already have, like JRZ subtable value, get subtable row IDs to loop over them, the after add callback function, and so on. So you have to do this with the existing methods. You can't use JR add subtable row to automatically supply data. You can only use it to add lines to your subtable. So that's a limitation that we currently have. We are working on this, of course. The next step would be to also allow JR add subtable row to take data and pre-fill the subtable. But we decided, since it didn't quite work out with the time, we decided to release this first version now, because it actually solves the basic problem we all currently have, that you cannot. I don't share my screen, right? That I should probably do that. Screen 1. So just supplying the functions as they are, it solves the basic problem we currently have, that you cannot add and remove subtable rows automatically. So that's now possible. And adding data can be done with existing functions, or you just wait for the next app version where you can also supply the data automatically. So that's for the mobile app. Next one I would like to show is our web setup. It says the web setup in a new shine. You will see in a minute why it has a new shine. Let me open my browser. So the web setup itself, of course, isn't new. So we've already had a web setup for the last 10 years. Otherwise, nobody would have been able to install JobRouter until now. So the web setup basically has gotten kind of a refactoring or a redesign, let's say. As you know, we have now integrated Angular into JobRouter. Like since a couple of months, we have Angular delivered with JobRouter itself. And we can now use this technology. We can now use Angular to bit by bit replace existing modules, existing functions with Angular components, with Angular functionality. That's the plan. And we started with the web setup because it's at the beginning of JobRouter, there's always a web setup, and it's a nice showcase. And also it wasn't working anymore with PHP 8, so we had to do something anyway. So we decided to redesign this based on new technology, and also, as you can see, based on a new design. So I just want to take you through it step by step so that you can see what the web setup now looks like, what new features are from the new design, so that you can get some insights. So this is what it looks like. The language is automatically detected based on your browser. So this browser language is English, so that's why the setup is also automatically set to English. The steps themselves have been kept. It's still the same steps that you have to fulfill, the same data you have to supply. You know, we need to check permissions, we need to upload the license, we need to configure database connection. So that's still the same because those are requirements we need in JobRouter. And you can just step through them. As you can see, this page now checks the write permissions we need on various folders on the JobRouter server. This one now tells me I don't have write permission on the license folder, which is correct. I will fix that in a minute. As you can see, it's quite clear, the overview, what's working, what's not working. So it's easy to see what you should be doing. So let me fix this. So now I can say refresh, and the license folder is now working. I can click on next. I still have to upload the license file, as you are probably used to. We also check the license file to make sure it's still valid. If it already exists, it's already uploaded by default. Next page would be to configure the database connection. So I will select MySQL as database connection. I will use this database. Let's see if it already exists or not. So that's the host name. That's the username. I have to go and steal the password. Give me a minute. So that's should be the password. And now I can do, let me do it like this. When you click on next, it will check if this, if the database connection has been configured correctly. It will also check if the database name already exists. So this database, obviously, I've set it up before for test cases, so I can't create it. It will tell me, okay, then I have to select something else because something you need to do. So in that case, I will just overwrite the existing tables. Click on next. I have to configure the administrative account. Let's give it to John Smith. We also have some front-end validation here. So this input field, as you can also see from the small icon, is expects an email address. So it should be in the format of an email address, jobrouter.com. Username is admin normally. Password, it also tells me must be at least 8 characters. So that's some hints that you get when you fill this out. Password also needs to match. Click on next. This page is actually the first one and the only one that has really changed from a content perspective. That's the configuration of JobRouter. If you remember previous installations, the configuration page was actually quite big. You had like 20, 30 fields you could fill out. It was possible to already configure like job mail and job start in the setup. Since we wanted to also make the setup more efficient, we were asking around some people like, what do you actually use from the configuration? What do you normally fill out? Are you actually configuring job start or job mail when you do the setup? And pretty much everyone has said no. They just do the basic configuration and like the module configuration, job mail, job start, Active Directory, and so on. That is actually done by like a JobRouter administrator afterwards. And everyone just skips this part when they configure JobRouter. So we decided to just remove all of these additional fields, make the setup a bit more lean, a bit more efficient, so that you can also step through it a bit quicker than usual. And that's what's left over, basically just the JobRouter URL, time zone, language, and so on. That's what you need to configure. And then you can click on install, which I won't do right now, and it will set up the JobRouter database as you are used to. And something I can also show, since I'm on this page already, as you can see, it's already a redesign. It looks much fresher and much more modern and simply more beautiful, I think. Everyone here thinks. And what it also has automatically is it's a responsive design. So based on the size of your screen, it will automatically show a different layout. So that would be the mobile layout. If your screen is a bit bigger, it would be looking like this. So that's not a use case that you would normally need when you do the web setup from JobRouter. I don't think anybody will try to do it with the mobile phone. But if you do, it's actually now possible. So feel free to try it. If someone actually does it on a mobile phone, let us know. Would just be nice to know if people are actually using this. So this is just a showcase to tell you that the new forms that we are creating on JobRouter, the new menus that we have will be responsive. That's just part of the new design. So that's the new web setup. So anyone who's doing setups quite regularly, they will be able to do it much more efficiently in the future and with a new look and a new design. For everyone else, if you already did the setup, you don't do it again. You can just take this as a bit of a sneak preview of what's to come in the future in JobRouter, because that was obviously just the first step of what we are planning to do. So that's it for the web setup. Let me jump back to the presentation. Okay, of course, it did the wrong view. Switch it. So that's the web setup. These slides will be sent later. There are some screenshots in them, so I will skip them now. And that brings us actually already to the finish line. So next question would be if you have questions that we can answer. So Stefan, you have did you check? Do we have some chat messages, questions that are still open?
Yeah, I was able to change the permissions, who should be able to send some chat messages. Antonina at least, or our colleague Antonina at least told me that it works. So if you have any questions, please let us know. There's just flying in one question. I guess that's pointing to you or to your part of the presentation. When does or I would add a few more words. When does the JobRouter main interface will be responsive? So
I can tell you it's not going to be next week or next month, because it is actually a major redesign of everything. And it will take some time. We are going to do it bit by bit. So we decided not to like go back for the next 2 or 3 years and then come back after 3 years and tell you this is the new design. We will take parts of JobRouter, replace them with the new design, take the next part of JobRouter, replace it with the new design. So it's going to be a step step-by-step process, and I think every couple of versions, depending on how big it is, every version or every second version, you will see something that will be in a different design or look new, or that will be replaced by Angular components.
To add on this, that to point out the importance of this change of like let's say the style of JobRouter is a very important topic for us. So we have a whole team working on this full time to get you those changes step by step, as Romy said, into the platform. So you can expect, hopefully for every release, a new step towards a complete redesign of JobRouter itself. Likewise, as you've seen, the website app. All right, so chat and question section is working properly. So if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to ask. Otherwise, I guess we have all the topics discussed and shown you. You will receive the recording and the slides during this afternoon or morning, depending on from where you're joining. So yeah, you are very welcome to also leave us any feedback. You will receive the link for the feedback form as well with the email. So I guess that's it for now. So thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
And have a great afternoon and a great weekend.